couple weeks ago now, we discussed a principle that said starting a business requires experimentation. And we said that every successful business leader follows a similar path and a similar plan. It's try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, succeed. And really effective entrepreneurs understand that all of those trials, they don't need to be successful because they're experiments. And what does an experiment do? It tests a hypothesis. And so even if it failed, well, if you're an effective entrepreneur, that failure taught you something that will help you get a little bit closer to success. And so if we were to sum it up, we would say effective entrepreneurs fail their way into success. So starting a business requires experimentation, and that leads us to today's principle. Scaling a business requires documentation. Starting a business requires experimentation. Scaling a business requires documentation. So we try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, succeed. And the difference between an entrepreneur and a leader, someone who builds something bigger than themselves, is what that person does whenever they find the successful process, whenever they find the successful pattern. Because here's what just someone who is strictly an entrepreneur does. They try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, succeed, and they succeed for a while, they succeed for a while, and then they just try something else, and then they keep doing other things, and they shift their attention, they shift their focus, they move on to something new. Here's what a leader does. They say, okay, when we succeed, they stop, they pause, they stop everything. They say, what happened there? What caused it? What created it? What steps did we take? What occurred for us to get to this situation? And how do we put that on paper in a manner that is clear and accessible so that it can be delegated and ultimately reproduced by others? This is what we're talking about whenever we're talking about documentation. Here's what it's like. It's like you've got this master chef, right? And he spends years dedicating himself to baking the perfect chocolate cake. And finally, one day he does it. It's the best possible chocolate cake. But he doesn't write down the recipe of how he created it. And then he dedicates himself to creating the best possible souffle after that. And so therefore, we're like, man, it was so awesome whenever he created that chocolate cake. And man, the people that ate that cake, they were really grateful, but no one else beyond that moment got to experience it. Some of you right now are like that chef that they never wrote down their recipe, right? Try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, succeed. And when you succeed, make sure you write down the process. Make sure you write down the recipe. Make sure you write down the steps and the variables and the thoughts that went into creating what that success became so that it can be delegated and ultimately reproduced. Starting a business requires experimentation. Scaling a business requires documentation. Let's go.